Robyn Brown's shocking accusation has the Brown family on edge. Janelle and Mary react strongly when Kody Brown doesn't say anything. The Brown family has been having problems again recently. Robyn Brown has said in public that the whole family is a fake. She says that her family has been stealing money from her for a long time. After this accusation, everyone was anxious to see what Kody Brown would say. But Kody has been utterly quiet, which is strange. He hasn't spoken anything or done anything in response. His silence has made things worse, like pouring ghee on a fire. In this case, Janelle Brown and Mary Brown have joined forces to speak out against Kody. Both have said clearly that Kody's blind loyalty to Robyn is what got the family into the mess it's in now. Janelle got really angry and yelled, "Kody, you're worse than a dog. You chase Robyn all over the place, but you don't care about us. So, why should you be in a relationship with us? Let us go, divorce us." Mary also stood by Janelle and helped her. "We won't put up with it anymore," she added. "You bow your head and do what Robyn says every time she talks, but our words don't reach your ears." This friction inside the Brown family has led to a new fight. People are wondering if the Brown family's link will be broken forever. The Brown family hadn't felt like a family in months. People didn't trust one another. Old wounds were uncovered, and resentments were still there. But no one, not even the family, could have been ready for the shocking charge that Robyn Brown made during a surprise broadcast on a stormy Tuesday night. Robyn remarked, "I'm done pretending everything is fine." Her voice shook but was steady. "I've been used for years." Used. Cheated. People I called family. Fans and the media were shocked by the accusation. Robyn said in the video that Janelle and Mary, two members of the Brown family, had been stealing money from the family, misusing family property, and leaving her out of important financial choices on purpose. "I gave up everything to be a part of this family," she said, tears welling up in her eyes. "And in return, I've been treated like the bad guy in a story I never wrote." After Robyn's shocking news, everyone turned to Kody Brown. As the head of the family and husband to all, his voice may have offered balance, or at least clarity. Kody, on the other hand, said nothing. He didn't use social media. He didn't answer the phone when producers called. He didn't even answer texts from his kids. The once fiery and forceful leader had stopped talking and was hiding up in a cabin in Arizona. This silence simply made things worse. She stood outside her new home in Flagstaff with Christine at her side and faced the cameras for a special TLC segment. She snapped, "Kody's silence is just as loud as Robyn's accusation. He lets her say whatever she wants, and we have to sit there and take it. Okay, I'm done." Her voice shook with anger and pain. "Kody, you're worse than a dog. You chase Robyn all over the place, but you don't care about us. What good is it to be in a relationship with us? Let us go, divorce us." Christine stood there, watching the family she had once run away from fall apart. Mary and Janelle made a video together and put it on Instagram later that day. Mary stated, "We're sick of being background characters in our own marriages. Robyn's tears are in charge of you, Kody. But what about our voices? You turn them off." She stopped for a moment and took a deep breath. "You told us to trust you." "We did. And look where we are now. I won't be your shadow anymore." Fans saw that for the first time in years, Mary and Janelle were really on the same page. No more posts that are hard to understand. No more silence that isn't active. Christine, who is now happily married to David Woolley, said she felt sorry for him but also relieved. "I got away when I could," she told people. "I hoped they would find their own strength as well. This may be it." Robyn, on the other hand, stayed mostly out of the public eye after she first accused him. Some people say she feels betrayed and alone, but others think this was her last chance to take charge of what's left of the Brown legacy. There were a lot of rumors about Kody. People said he was depressed. Some others said he was going to take legal action. Some people said he had started writing a public message, but no one had seen it. TLC producers were finally able to set up a last family meeting at a neutral Utah ranch, where everyone but Kody showed up. Janelle and Mary sat next to one another. Robyn came alone and late. The room was full of tension. Mary continued, "We came here to heal," her voice serene but frigid. "But the truth has to come out for healing to happen. And Robyn, if you think we stole something from you, show us. Don't just say it, show it." Robyn stared down, her lips pressed together. "And if Kody really thinks we did you wrong, he should have the guts to say so," Janelle said. "But what about his silence? We don't need to hear anything else." The show concluded in silence, with no closure, just a long, slow pan to the empty chair that was meant for Kody. Months later, it was reported that the Brown family would not be doing their show together anymore. Each wife was given the chance to make her own spin-off show. Kody stayed off the grid. Fans are still split. Did Robyn really be betrayed, or was this the last move in a long game of manipulation? Was Kody involved or just broken? But one thing is for sure, the Brown family, as the world knew them, is gone. Their legacy is a warning about love, devotion, and the heavy cost of staying quiet. But Janelle Brown had made up her mind on a sunny spring morning in Flagstaff. She was heading to the Antelope Valley, a quiet desert town in California, far from the emotional turbulence and strained relationships that had been making her life so hard in the past few years. She had been thinking about starting over for months, finding a new place where she could get away from the memories of her past with Kody. But Janelle didn't expect all the help she got from her sister wives. Janelle told the news over a quiet lunch on Mary's patio. She looked at the familiar features of Robyn, Christine, and Mary and stated, "I've bought a small property in AV. There's enough space for a garden and maybe even some chickens. I only need this for myself." There was a break. Christine then rose up, her eyes shining with joy. "Wow, Janelle, that's amazing." She murmured, "Come here," and hugged her tightly. "I'm so proud of you." Robyn, who had often disagreed with the other wives in the past few years, nodded with a sweet grin. "That sounds calm. And to be honest, you deserve serenity." Mary held up her glass of iced tea. "To new starts." They clinked their glasses together. The weight that Janelle had been carrying for weeks started to go away. A few weeks later, the sister wives did something that no one saw coming. They scheduled a trip for everyone to assist Janelle get used to her new home. Christine came up with the idea. She rented a big SUV, filled it with goodies, and said, "We're going to do this together like we used to." They drove across state lines, laughing, telling stories, and playing road trip games like kids. Even though they had been through a lot of emotional pain for years, it felt like the closeness they used to have was still there for a short time. When they eventually got to Janelle's new house, it was everything she had hoped for. There is a small adobe-style house in the middle of the desert, with wildflowers and the sky above it. Christine said with awe, "This is you, Janelle. Strong, independent, and grounded." They painted the walls, planted herbs, and put together furniture over the weekend. They sat around a little bonfire at night under the stars and told stories while drinking herbal tea. Janelle even pulled out old photo albums, and the spouses chatted over the good times they had when they first got married. Everyone was shocked when Mary gave Janelle a hand-stitched quilt with the names of all the kids on it. She added, "No matter how far we all go, we'll always be connected." One night, even Robyn, who had generally been quiet, spoke up. She murmured softly, "I know things have been hard, but I never lost respect for you, Janelle. And I hope we can all move on in peace." As the SUV was being loaded up for the trip back to Flagstaff, the mood was bittersweet. Janelle waved to her sister wives from the edge of her new porch. She remarked, "You all have given me more than I ever thought you would. Thank you for giving me a new start." Christine gave her a big hug. "Janelle, you're not beginning over. You're merely moving forward on your path, and we're rooting for you every step of the way." The SUV went beyond the horizon in the desert, and Janelle stood upright, the wind blowing on her face. She felt free for the first time in a long time, and helped. But the air in Arizona was arid and full with stress. The sun went down behind the red rocks in Mary's small backyard, making long shadows across the stone patio where Christine and Mary sat, each with a glass of iced tea that they hadn't touched. Christine nervously rubbed the silver ring on her index finger and looked down at her hands. I didn't come here to fight, Mary, she whispered softly. But we can't keep pretending everything is fine. Mary's face hardened. Then it broke with a flash of pain. You think I've been faking it? Christine, I've been holding this family together with duct tape and hope for years. I know, Christine said, her voice shaking. I watched you trying. Even when Kody was mentally out of it. I felt like I was leaving you all behind when I left. I could see you were still trying. They hadn't sat like this in over a year, not since Christine packed her bags and took her kids back to Utah. Mary had been quiet then, merely giving a stiff hug and saying, "Do what you need to do." But that silence has been heavy on both of them ever since. Truth is, Mary continued, her voice wavering a little, I was upset. Not because you broke up with Kody. I don't even know what we are anymore. You departed without saying goodbye, and that made me mad. You were the only sister wife I thought I still had a connection with. Christine looked up, and tears started to flow. I didn't know how to say goodbye. I thought I was betraying you too. And to be honest, I was worried you might try to talk me out of it. Mary said, I would have. Because I was scared too. Scared that you leaving would make it true, and give the rest of us the chance to finally admit how bad things were. There was silence between them, and it was full of unsaid sadness. The years of co-parenting, late-night talks, birthday celebrations, and Christmases are all gone now, buried under the debris of a broken family. But you were right to go, Mary exclaimed all of a sudden. Kody hasn't looked at me the same way since the catfishing fiasco. He stopped trying. And I've been sitting in this hollow marriage, yearning for a miracle that will never happen. Christine leaned in. Then come with me. Not in a bodily way, but in an emotional way. Begin again. Not with him, but with yourself. You also deserve to be happy. Mary laughed shakily. Do it again? At my age? Christine smiled gently and said, You're not dead, Mary. You are now free. You may not even know it. Mary picked up her iced tea and took a drink for the first time that night. I never thought I'd hear that from you. Christine put her palm over Mary's hand on the table. We weren't always close, but we've always been there for each other. I'm here now. Not as a sister wife. Just like Christine. Mary nodded slowly, and the corner of her mouth turned up in a smile. Then let's stop talking about the past. Let's speak about what's coming up next. As two former sister wives began to heal, not as rivals, but as women taking back their voices, the stars began to show up in the desert sky. They were no longer bound by the same guy, but by their common experience. But Mary Brown eventually made a big change in her life after years of emotional upheaval, unresolved feelings, and strained relationships in Flagstaff. This new chapter is based on peace, purpose, and rediscovery, not polygamy or confusion. Mary packed the rest of her things into the back of her SUV in the cool, early air. The sun hadn't quite risen yet, but the soft orange light over the mountains made her feel comfortable. Utah had always seemed like home to her. She was born and raised there, and now she was going back as herself, not as someone's wife or sister wife. She sold her portion of the Flagstaff property and quietly ended her miserable relationship with Kody. Then she acquired a modest, charming house just outside Parowan, Utah, near her favorite Lizzie's Heritage Inn. It was a symbolic return to her roots, her freedom, and the location where she had always felt most like herself. The first several weeks in Utah were peaceful, yet very restorative. Mary spent her days fixing up old furniture, taking care of her garden, and writing in a journal, which she hadn't done in years. At night, she would light candles in the warm den of her new house and relax by the fire with a book or just her thoughts. She got increasingly involved with Lizzie's Heritage Inn, not just as a businesswoman but also as a storyteller. She started having history and healing nights at the inn every week. People from all over the country came to hear stories of the Brown family, pioneer women, and how hard it is to start over. Mary's extended family and childhood pals were also closer to her when she lived in Utah. Catherine, one of them, had known her since high school. One afternoon, they met up for coffee and easily fell back into a friendly, supporting friendship. Catherine had also been through a difficult divorce and told Mary to look beyond what she thought she should do in life. They formed a local women's empowerment group where Mary mentored young women who were suffering with everything from self-esteem issues to figuring out their spiritual identity. Mary felt seen for the first time in a long time, not as Kody's wife or the sister wife who had been forgotten, but as a leader, a friend, and a woman she had made herself. Something unexpected happened 6 months after she started her new life. One of Huron's fall open houses was where she met Daniel Matthews, a quiet, middle-aged writer who wrote about the history of the Western frontier. He was in town from Colorado for study and didn't seem to know anything about Mary's TV celebrity, which she thought was nice. Their relationship was slow and easy. They talked about deep things over tea, traded their favorite books, and even took gorgeous drives through the canyons. There was no need to hurry or feel pressure. They were just friends who slowly grew closer over time. Mary got a call from Robyn on a snowy morning. It had been a while. Robyn was upset because the Brown family was falling apart. She asked Mary whether she wished she hadn't left. Mary said softly but firmly, "I don't regret loving you all, but I also have to love myself. And that's what I'm finally learning how to do." That talk didn't totally fix the damaged family relationships, but it was a moment of honesty and maybe the start of peace. Mary's new life in Utah wasn't very exciting or showy. It was real, with small victories, laughing with new friends, and long walks through red granite trails. She had left behind a man who couldn't love her completely and stepped into the light of a woman who now loved herself completely. Her tale was no longer merely part of the sister wives' history. It was her own. But it was a cold winter morning in Flagstaff, Arizona. Outside, the wind whispered through the trees, reflecting the quiet anxiety that had been building in the Brown family's lives for months. Finally, Janelle Brown and Kody Brown sat across from one another at a big wooden table. Janelle's eyes filled with tears as the cameras rolled. "I think we've known for a long time," Janelle said, her voice serene but fatigued. "Kody, we've grown apart. I still love you, but our marriage isn't a marriage anymore." Kody stared down and held his hands tightly. Finally, he said, "You're right. I was too busy trying to control things and keep the family together to remember to take care of what we had. And now it's gone." Later that week, the producers of TLC brought the family together for a meeting. The spouses sat and waited, some nervous and others serene. Robyn sat still with her lips clenched. Christine, who had left Kody the year before, watched in silence. Mary didn't look anyone in the eye. Janelle took a big breath and looked at the camera. She said, "Kody and I have decided to break up." It wasn't all of a sudden. For years, there have been fights, misunderstandings, and letdowns. But we are choosing peace for ourselves and our kids. Kody nodded next to her. "We made this choice with sorrowful hearts, but clear heads. We've made a life together, grown kids, and made good memories. But now it's time for us to let each other go." Fans were shocked. There was a lot of activity on social media. Many people wrote, "Janelle was always the strong one. She deserves to be happy." But while everyone else was guessing, Janelle discreetly packed her things and moved into a little cottage on a ranch she had wanted to buy for years. Her adult children helped her start a new adventure. She opened a wellness retreat center that focused on healing, empowerment, and personal growth. Her fans saw her grow into a free, bright, and unabashed person. Kody, on the other hand, had a hard time dealing with what happened. His other relationships were not going well. Robyn became more possessive. Mary had already emotionally checked out a long time ago. And for the first time, Kody had to deal with the fact that his choices had hurt people. He told a TLC producer in a private interview, "I thought I was doing what God wanted. But maybe I was just using that as an excuse to stay in charge." Jel and Kody met again one night, months later. This time, there were no cameras or people watching. Two people that used to love each other very much. "I don't hate you," Janelle remarked in a gentle voice. "But I love myself more now." Kody nodded. "I get it. And I want you to be happy." They hugged one last time, and it was a sad but wonderful hug. It wasn't a reunion. It was a realization of love that was once shared, scars that are now healing, and pathways that finally went their own ways in peace. Fans witnessed a different Janelle when Season 20 of Sister Wives premiered. Confident, smiling, and with the family she made on her own terms. She made it plain that love doesn't always last, but self-love must. And what about Kody? He stayed with Robyn, and his world got narrower, but maybe more real. In the end, it wasn't a big deal that they broke up. It was a truth that had been long overdue. And sometimes, the reality is the best love tale of all. But Christine Brown stood in the doorway of her Flagstaff house, her arms crossed tightly across her chest as she looked at the empty bathroom. The tiles were still clean and had not been disturbed. Like always, Christine had kept quiet about something that had been bothering her for years. It was something that seemed tiny but was really a lot bigger truth. He never even took a shower here, she said to herself. It wasn't about the toilet. Not really. It was about being there. Dedication. Honor. Christine thought that moving to Flagstaff might change Kody's behavior because the scenery was different. She put navy blue towels in the guest bathroom, which was his favorite color. Filled it with his shampoo. They even got a unique loofah. She wanted him to know that he was needed and welcome. This house was also his residence. But Kody never took his suitcase out of the car. He always took his razor with him. And most importantly, they never took a shower. Instead, he would come over for short visits and talk more about Robyn's house or Janelle's goals than about them. Christine understood that his heart was always someplace else, even when his body was there. Christine sat on the back patio with Mary and Janelle while the team got ready for the new season of Sister Wives. The cameras weren't on. This was simply them, three ladies who were no longer in denial. Christine suddenly said, "You know it's crazy," as she sipped her tea. "All these years, Kody never even took a shower at my house. Not once." Mary blinked in amazement. Janelle lifted an eyebrow. "Really?" Mary asked, shocked. "Nope," Christine answered with a sad laugh. Even the bathroom knew he didn't want to be there. There was a long pause before Janelle nodded. "I think we all had our own version of that. The basement was mine. He wouldn't sleep down there. He said it damaged his back. But I suppose that was merely a reason." Christine gazed down at her mug and felt an odd sense of being right. She had been feeling neglected for years, believing maybe it was her fault. Perhaps she wasn't putting in enough effort. But now that there was distance and honesty, it was evident that he had emotionally left a long time ago. Christine walked through her home, which was now a happy place where her kids laughed and David, her new fiancé, called her on FaceTime. She had torn down the old bathroom and rebuilt it from the ground up. Finally, she said to herself with a smile as she looked at the immaculate white tiles and gold fixtures, "Someone will shower here because they want to be here." She didn't feel empty for the first time in years. She felt clean, even though Kody never did. Hi, everyone. Welcome to my channel. I'm Sabrina, and I hope you're having a great day. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you appreciate the video.